Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Balanced Business Coach. My name is Toni Robinson, and I am a life coach for leaders. I specialize in burnout and creating more balance in the lives of leaders so that they can live a more expansive and passionate life and make a bigger impact on the workplaces that they serve. I am so excited that you're here with me today. This is a highly requested video. I was going to do a webinar on it. If you aren't aware, I do monthly webinars. But I was kind of feeling like since I just did my webinar a couple days ago, I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. And I was like, this would be a perfect podcast. So instead of doing a webinar on this, I'm going to do a podcast episode. And today's episode is about emotional freedom technique for burnout. So let's get into it. Emotional freedom technique is essentially tapping on different points of the body to release negative emotions in its simplest form. There is what's called a setup statement. So there is a phrase that you say to get your tapping started, and you're tapping on one part of the body for that setup statement 3 times. And then you proceed with tapping on all of the other meridian points in order. And you say the things that are bothering you. So if you are feeling burned out, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling distraught, if you are feeling like you're at a loss, if you're feeling stressed, you would use that feeling that you're feeling, and you would say that, you would use that during your setup statement, and then you're going to use that while you're tapping through the points. So for today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example and talk you through the actual technique, what the setup statement is, how you also have to rate your intensity so that you can track whether that intensity is lowering, because I'll get to that in a minute. And then I'll also walk you through each of the different points where to tap. There's no right or wrong, like how long to tap on a point or exactly what to say. So we'll kind of get into that too. There's just a setup statement, and then each of the points need to be tapped on. And then you rate your intensity at the end again. And that is really the process. And you go through those rounds until your intensity is between 0 to 2, I would say. So I'll explain more about that in just a moment. And I think that's it. That's the gist of what we're going to get into today. So I'll go through the basics of what it is, how to do it, and then we will actually do the tapping together. So kind of like a tap along. And that way you can come back to this anytime, sort of like a little meditation that you can use anytime you're feeling stressed or you need to just like kind of relax for a bit. You can come back to this anytime and tap along with me, or just listen to it, whatever you want to do. But this is here for you anytime you need to reference how to tap on your own, or if you want to tap with me, this should do the trick. So here we go. The first thing that I would say is it's really important to have like a journal or something, maybe like your notes app on your phone, that you can write down your intensity. Because the idea is, with emotional freedom technique, you are feeling some sort of negative emotion fairly intensely. So if I am feeling overwhelmed right now and I'm at a 9 out of 10, I want to have a way that I can gauge whether I'm coming down and getting less overwhelmed and feeling less overwhelmed over the course of the rounds of tapping that I'm going through. So just having something that you're able to write down what your current intensity level is, and then as you go through the different rounds, what your intensity level is going to be really helpful. So the first thing you want to do is write down your number. Write down what is your intensity. If you're feeling overwhelmed, write down your intensity of how overwhelmed you're feeling. Let's say I'm at a 9 right now, I would write down a 9. Next, I'm going to start my setup statement. So with your setup statement, this is going to be kind of hard with my mic. You are going to tap on this part of your hand, that side, that edge of your hand that your pinky is on is where you will begin to tap with your other hand, with the fingertips of your other hand. Okay, so you're going to start tapping, and what you will say is, even though I feel blank. So in this situation, we're going to use overwhelmed. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. And you're going to say this 3 times. So even though I feel blank, I fully and completely love and accept myself. You'll say that 3 times. Whatever you're feeling, insert that into even though I feel whatever you're feeling. I fully and completely love and accept myself. And while you're saying that, make sure that you're tapping on that side of your hand. Then you're going to start tapping through each of the points on the body. This is going to be after you've said your setup statement 3 times. You can do this a couple of different ways, but I would say if you're a beginner, it's a lot easier to just continue saying, I feel overwhelmed. Instead of trying to, so like some people, as you get more advanced, you might say other things that are coming up that you're feeling with it. So like, I feel so overwhelmed. I hate my job right now. I feel like this is never going to end. I feel so like bogged down by all this work that I have. Like you could say all of those things as you're tapping through the different points. But I think if you're just beginning with EFT, it's much easier to keep it simple. So what you will do is you will just go through each point on the body and say, I feel blank. I feel overwhelmed. Okay. So the first point on the body is at the very top of the head. So just like you're patting yourself on the head, and you would say, I feel overwhelmed. The next point is above the eyebrow. And it doesn't matter which side you tap on. You could also be tapping with both hands if you wanted to. I normally tap with my right hand just because that's like intuitive for me to use that hand. But you can do whatever works for you. So above the eyebrow, I feel overwhelmed. I often close my eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can if you want to. And then on your temple, I feel overwhelmed. And then right below your eye, like on your cheekbone, I feel overwhelmed. And then in between your lip and your nose, like that upper lip area, I feel overwhelmed. You can use your fingertips to tap on that area, but my nails are so long that I kind of run into my nose. So I like to use the side of my finger and tap like this. It just is kind of a better fit in that area. So you're welcome to do that as well. Okay, after the upper lip is your chin. I feel overwhelmed. Then your collarbone. I feel overwhelmed. And then you're going to do this area. Well, let me move this over here. This area like right on the side. It's kind of like your rib cage, I guess. I feel overwhelmed. And then the last place is on the back of your hand right here. And you would just tap in between your pinky and your ring finger. I feel overwhelmed. Okay, so once you have gone through all of the different points, I like to put my hands on my lap or on my knees and just take a deep inhale and exhale. And then you will rate your intensity of that feeling again. So if you were at a 9 to start with, are you still at a 9? Are you at an 8, a 7? Are you maybe a higher intensity? Because sometimes speaking the feeling out loud, especially for the first round or two, it can heighten the intensity. So don't get discouraged if you do this and you're like, this isn't working. This is actually making me feel worse. If it's like too much and you're like, I can't take this, it's okay. Like, you don't have to keep going. No one's forcing you to keep going. But what I will say is that sometimes speaking it out loud can intensify the feeling a little bit more. But what I find is that the more rounds that you do, it does decrease. And so the idea is to do as many rounds of that as you can until you are at a 2, a 1, or ideally, of course, a 0 intensity. So, what I want to do is give you an example of what this would look like for 3 different rounds. So, we are going to use Overwhelm as an example, and I'm going to walk you through the setup statement, all of the different points. We're going to rate our intensity again, and then we'll do it again, and then one more time, and then I will bring this thing to a close. But hopefully, you'll be able to come back to this at any point in time and use this for either your own feeling that you are experiencing, or if you are feeling overwhelmed, you can just use this as a template and tap along with me. All right, starting with our setup statement. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Okay, now we're going to go through each of the points. Top of the head. I feel overwhelmed. Above the eye. I feel overwhelmed. Side of the eye. I feel overwhelmed. Cheekbone. I feel overwhelmed. Upper lip. I feel overwhelmed. Chin. I feel overwhelmed. Collarbone. I feel overwhelmed. Ribcage. I feel overwhelmed. And then back of the hand. I feel overwhelmed. And we're going to place our hands in our lap. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. And now rate your intensity. And then let's go again. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Top of the head. I feel overwhelmed. Above the eye. I feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it helps to breathe in between, like taking a deep breath at each point. Side of the eye. I feel overwhelmed. Cheekbone. I feel overwhelmed. Upper lip. I feel overwhelmed. Chin. I feel overwhelmed. Collarbone. I feel overwhelmed. Rib cage. I feel overwhelmed. Back of the hand. I feel overwhelmed. Hands in your lap. Deep inhale. Exhale. And then rate your intensity. Hopefully it's starting to come down now. For this last round, we're going to do the same setup statement, but I'm going to show you how you can start to almost get into like a venting state when you're going through each of the points. So you don't have to just say, I feel overwhelmed through each point. You can actually start to get into other things that you're feeling or other things that are bothering you around the overwhelm, kind of as if you were venting about it. So I'll show you how to do that. Again, like I said before, if it's your first time tapping or you're just getting into this, you're just getting used to it and you're going to do this on your own, sometimes it's easier and simpler to just state the feeling for each one. But as you get more experienced and you want to expand on your practice, you can say more. You can say as much as you want. So here we go, round 3, starting with the side of the hand. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I fully and completely love and accept myself. All right, top of the head. I feel overwhelmed. I just feel like I have so much pressure. I feel like I have so much on my shoulders. I don't know how to manage it all. Top of the eyebrow. I feel overwhelmed. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to subside. I wish I could stop feeling this way. The overwhelm is too much. Side of the eye. I feel overwhelmed. It's making me resentful. It's making me angry. It's making me treat my family poorly. I'm tired of feeling this way. Cheekbone. I feel overwhelmed. I'm so frustrated. I just wish I could catch up. Upper lip. I feel overwhelmed. I just want to feel like myself again. I want to feel caught up. I want to feel in control. When I feel overwhelmed, I feel like I'm so out of control. My emotions feel like they're controlling me. Chin. I feel overwhelmed. I don't like this feeling. I just want to be able to catch up. I just want to be able to feel normal again. This isn't like me. And I know that there's better for me out there. I know that this doesn't have to be my life. Collarbone. I feel overwhelmed. My life just feels so out of control right now. There's so much that I want to be able to do. There's so much that I want to get to. And I just can't get to it because I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so consumed with what I have to do. Ribcage. I feel overwhelmed. It feels like work is consuming my life. Sometimes I just want to quit my job. Sometimes I just want to hide in a hole. I'm so overwhelmed. I just wish I could catch up. Things would be so much better if I could catch up. Back of the hand. I'm so overwhelmed. I just want to feel relief. I just wish I could catch up so I could feel relief. All right, hands in your lap. Deep inhale. And exhale. Okay, rate your intensity. Hopefully, after 3 rounds, you're starting to feel a lot more calm, a lot more centered, and that feeling is really starting to be relieved. I'm totally at a 0 right now. That totally relaxed me doing that for 3 rounds. Well, technically 4 with the explanation round. As long as you are getting closer to that 0, that's the goal here. We want to be feeling more and more relief with each round. Like I had mentioned before, if you happen to feel like it's getting more intense for the first round or two, then I would say if it feels okay, if it feels safe, try to keep tapping to see if you will start to feel relief by the 3rd round. If it doesn't feel safe and it feels too intense, then you can stop. Absolutely stop. And I would say if you are having emotions or feelings that are that intense, it might be really helpful for you to do this practice with a therapist or someone who is trauma informed that can guide you through the process and hold you in that space when you start to feel that intense feeling. Okay, so that is EFT. That is the process. That is the tool that has helped me so much in my life. A couple of things just to note, the difference between EFT and tapping, because sometimes people use the two phrases interchangeably. EFT is the full process. So it's the setup statement, it's the rating of the intensity, it's the tapping through each point in that order. Tapping is just the action of tapping on the point. Sometimes, if people are in a hurry or if they're maybe in a more public setting, they may just tap. They may not do the full setup statement, the rating of the intensity, and going through every single point. So, for example, if I was at work and I was feeling particularly triggered by something and I was feeling upset, overwhelmed, whatever, I might choose one of the points. I like the back of the hand best because I feel like it's something that you can do very discreetly. But you could under your desk or like during a meeting too, you could do this. Under your desk, you can just tap on that point and you can say in your mind, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling triggered. I'm feeling angry. You could say that in your mind until you feel that relief. So that would be tapping, is just simply the act of tapping on that one point or multiple points, but not really the full process. EFT is the full process. Hopefully that makes sense. But I would say that this is something that's really useful in those situations where maybe you don't have the time to go through all of the points and do the whole shebang. You can still find relief in this process. And sometimes it's helpful to do it with affirmations, not with the negative feeling. So it's really key for like deep healing and deep release to do the actual EFT process and stating the negative feeling. But if you are short on time and you're looking for that quick relief, you can take affirmations like, I am safe, I am calm, I am in control, I am loved, I am supported, I am powerful, I am abundant. You can say those things while you're tapping on one or multiple of the points, and that is going to give you that relief as well. So sometimes you don't necessarily just have to state the negative feeling, you could actually state something empowering and affirming and find that relief as well. So, hopefully, this was helpful. I know a lot of you said that you were interested in the EFT webinar. So, if you have other questions or want me to go any deeper into this, I am absolutely happy to do so. Just drop them in the comments or send me an email. All of my contact information is below in the show notes. But yeah, hopefully this gave you exactly what you needed in the perfect amount of time because I didn't want you guys to have to wait another month for this to come out and be given to you. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. As always, it means the world to me that you're supporting me on this journey. And until next time, take care.